As we saw in the previous movie, we were able to use a technique which involved using focus area and masking in order to selectively sharpen an image. Yeah, what about those situations where that technique doesn't work? What do we do? Well, let's take a look at one of those scenarios here with this photograph of my friend Valin. And with this photograph, if I go to the Select pull-down menu and choose Focus Area, that will launch the Focus Area dialog. And here Photoshop's going to try to figure out the image. As it tries to figure this out, you can see it's trying to determine what's in focus and what isn't, and it just isn't working very well. And regardless of how we use these different tools, it still wouldn't work very well because essentially what I want to sharpen in this image isn't the skin. I'm not interested in creating an over-sharp look on the skin. I want to keep the skin nice and smooth and soft, but I do want to sharpen the eyes, the eyebrows, and also the lips. So focus area isn't going to be of any help at all. So we'll click cancel, and rather than use focus area, we will duplicate the layer, apply some sharpening to it, and then mask it into a few specific areas. Let me show you how that works. Here, it's pretty straightforward. Just click and drag this layer to the new layer icon. That duplicates or copies the layer. Double click that layer name. We'll call this one Sharpen. Next step is to go to our Sharpen filter. Go to Filter, Sharpen, and Smart Sharpen. Click on Smart Sharpen to open up the image in Smart Sharpen. Now, when we view the image at 100%, we can see all the detail that we have there. Let me just exaggerate for a moment. You can see that if I were to apply all the sharpening everywhere, it just wouldn't look very good, right, at all, because we're not interested in sharpening the skin. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and experiment a little bit with these sliders. I'll bring these values way down, and I'm just going to focus in on the eyes, eyebrows, and lips, and I'm going to ignore how it affects all other areas of the image. What I'm looking for here is the ability to add a little bit of snap or focus into these areas. That looks pretty good, I think, right around there. After having dialed that in just a little bit more, click OK to apply that. Now, currently, the sharpening is everywhere, which is not what we want. So we'll create a mask. Click on the Add Layer Mask icon. For this mask, we need to invert it. You can invert a mask a few different ways. One way is to go to the Properties panel. Go to the Mask tab and click Invert, or press Command-I on a Mac, Control-I on Windows. Well, now that we've inverted this, we're hiding the entire layer. Perfect, that's what we want. We'll grab a brush and paint with white. And with our brush, let's go ahead and remove the hardness and make the brush size a little bit smaller. I'll also zoom in on the image, and I've zoomed in real close. My brush is too big now, so you can change your brush size using a handy shortcut. Left bracket key makes it smaller. The right bracket key on the keyboard makes it bigger. So you can tap that multiple times. If you forget the shortcut, just head up to the options bar and drag the slider over to the left. And with this one, I'm also going to bring down my opacity and just bring a little bit of sharpness into a couple areas of the image. With a little less opacity, I can bring more in the more I paint over certain areas and less over other areas. Like the top lip just needs a little bit. The bottom lip, I'll bring a lot of sharpening in. All right, that looks pretty good. Maybe a little bit on the edge of the nose too. But you can see that I'm staying away from the skin tones. I'm not interested in sharpening those or bringing out any little details there. If I turn off the visibility of the background layer, this will look kind of funny, but what we can see is that we have the sharpening come in just a little bit here. You can see how wherever I paint, we're going to bring in that sharpening effect. And what it's doing is it's bringing it in slowly, each brush stroke at a time, as you can see here. And you wouldn't normally do that without the background layer on, because really what we're looking for is how that sharpening effect is improving the image. So in this case, just clicking through any area that I think would benefit from a little bit of sharpening. I actually think the top lip looks good, sharp as well. All right, well, I want to zoom out, just look around the image. Is there any other area? No, I think that's pretty good. If we've made a mistake and brought too much sharpening in, like the eyebrow here is too sharp for me, you paint with black and that then conceals that. And so I'm going to go ahead and take some of that out. In this way, what we're doing is called selective sharpening. And it works for a wide range of different types of images. This happens to be a studio portrait, but this works on landscapes, product photography, you name it. And this technique involves those steps of copying the layer, applying the sharpening to that new layer, and then inverting the mask and hand painting the sharpening in exactly where you want it.